Texas Supreme Court rules against San Antonio in a Hay Street Bridge dispute. Following claims of abuse, exploitation, and abduction, the marriage of an Alamo City millionaire is annulled. And the city of San Antonio strikes another deal to keep Halliburton from leaving. This is your Express Briefing podcast for Monday, March 18th. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts. And get each day's top news and sports headlines delivered to your inbox at expressnews.com/newsletters. A community coalition fighting to preserve land next to the historic Hay Street Bridge as a public park has scored a victory, with the Texas Supreme Court ruling against the city, sending the case back to a lower court. The city of San Antonio and the Hay Street Bridge Restoration Group are engaged in a complex, hotly contested legal battle over a 1.7-acre tract of vacant land near the Union Pacific Railroad tracks, where the city envisions a bustling residential retail complex, and the Restoration Group wants a garden-like oasis for the community with great views of the city's skyline. Friday's ruling puts the two sides at odds on whether the ruling affects plans for the commercial complex next to the 1880s bridge, and a symbol of hope to many who live on the east side. An attorney for the Restoration Group now says the City Council should terminate the 2014 sale of land and dedicate it for public use, as has been the intent for 17 years. But the city, in a two-paragraph news release, downplayed the court's opinion as a narrow and technical ruling addressing a contract issue related to the Hay Street Bridge restoration project, with city officials now noting that the planned mixed-use development next to the bridge can still move forward. In its ruling, the state's high court found that under the Local Government Contract Claims Act, the city cannot be given immunity from litigation in the case because the community group suing the city is not seeking monetary damages, instead pursuing claims related to the specific performance of contractual terms regarding property near the bridge. City officials have said the project will bring housing and economic stimulation to a historic neighborhood, while some preservationists and others worry that a complex of up to 5 stories tall would hinder views of and from the bridge, diminishing the area's ambience and long-term economic potential. The marriage of a San Antonio millionaire has been annulled following claims of abuse, exploitation, and abduction. On March 4th, 81-year-old Charlie Thrash married 54-year-old girlfriend Laura Martinez in a 5-minute ceremony. The next day, Thrash, who is mentally incapacitated and a ward under guardianship, adopted Martinez's 2 adult children. And the following day, the millionaire's court-appointed permanent guardian went to his upscale home with at least 4 police officers and took him away, and his wife has not seen him since. Calling the event an abduction, Martinez quickly filed for restraining orders against Thrash's 2 guardians in Bexar County Probate Court. But adult welfare officials and others paint a darker picture, alleging that Martinez and her family members have been controlling and exploiting Thrash, who for decades owned a successful specialty auto repair shop on San Antonio's near north side. And a report by the probate court's investigator includes claims of physical abuse. On Thursday, a judge signed a temporary restraining order that imposes numerous restrictions on Martinez, her attorney, and her family. And Friday, the judge annulled the marriage between Thrash and Martinez on the basis of his mental incapacity. And after Halliburton threatened to move its Eagle Ford shale operation from the San Antonio area because the company said it was being taxed unfairly, a new agreement between the city and company officials could keep the operation in Alamo City. Under a complex deal struck in 2016, the Houston-based oilfield services giant avoided city annexation on its 150-acre property in southeastern Bexar County, but agreed to pay the city for fire services. But Halliburton wound up paying twice for fire protection when an overlapping jurisdiction that oversees emergency services in unincorporated Bexar County passed its own sales tax. And Thursday, City Council members will vote on a proposal to annex the Halliburton property and rebate a portion of its property taxes to keep the company's Eagle Ford operation in Alamo City. Limited purpose annexation gives cities 3 years to decide whether they want to annex an area, and during that time residents may vote in city council elections but don't pay city taxes. Developers must also abide by certain city land use regulations. Last year, Halliburton told city officials it would consider moving its Eagle Ford shale operations unless the issue was resolved. Under the proposed arrangement, the city would annex Halliburton's property in a process initiated and paid for by the Houston company, and the city would then rebate 62% of the company's property taxes for 8 years, valued at $7.4 million. During that same period, the city would receive about $5 million annually in property and sales and use tax revenue. That's your daily San Antonio Express briefing for Monday, March 18th. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts.